Srimad Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Cha Mayeritam Vidusha Boba Devena Sri Krishnasya Yashonvitam Himadrehe Sachivasayarte Suchana Kriyate Aduna Skanda Adhyaya Katanam Cha Yat Pramanam Samasatah. These are the verses written in Sanskrit by Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati to give us a very clear history of the book Srimad Bhagavatam. These two verses from Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati clarifies that Srimad Bhagavatam, as we were been thinking, or most of us have been thinking, that it is written by Vyas Muni. Bhagavatam was not written by Vyas Muni, it was written by Boba Dev. I will read out further sentences written by Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati to you, but we have to understand Vyas Muni wrote 3 books. In fact, he wrote 2 books and he gave a commentary of the third book. The first book written by Vyas Muni was Mahabharata, as we all know. Mahabharata contained only 4,400 shlokas written by Vyas Muni, and under the presence of Vyas Muni, another 5,600 shlokas were written by his disciples under his guidance. So the original Mahabharata contains only 10,000 shlokas. If you go to market, the Mahabharata contains lot of stories which were not written by Vyas Muni. The books available in the market will have more than 1,20,000 shlokas. That means there are more than 1,10,000 false shlokas added after Mahabharata was written. Number 2 book written by Vyas Muni was Vedanta Shastra, which is called as Brahma Sutra, which clarifies deep secrets about Vedas and Jivatma, Paramatma, and worship of Almighty God and Bhakti of Almighty God. And the third book written by Vyas Muni actually is not a full book, it is a commentary on Patanjali Yoga Darshana. So if we read all these 3 books, we will understand Vyas Muni was a great philosopher of yoga, Vedas, and he was a yogi, and we can understand Vyas Muni can never write anything unscientific. But if we read Bhagavatam, we will clearly understand it contradicts the previous 3 books. It has so many false stories, it has so many unscientific things. Now Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati writes, the Bhagavatam was written by Boba Deva, the brother of Jayadeva, who wrote Gita Govinda. He asserts in his book Himadri that he is the author of Bhagavatam. I had with me 3 pages of the book. One of them is lost. I have made 2 verses conveying the same sense which the verses on that page signified. Those are the 2 verses which I read out in the beginning of this video. The meaning of those 2 verses are like this. The king's minister, who was named Himadri, said to Pandit Bobadeva that he had no time to hear the whole of his book Bhagavatam. Bobadeva should better versify briefly the contents of the books so that Himadri might know the content of the book. Bobadeva accordingly made a brief note in the verses. The 10 verses have been lost by me. I give below the 11th onwards. So if you read the book Satyartha Prakash in English, The Light of Truth, page number 569 and 570, you can read the verses from the book Himadri, which gives a clear indication about Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is written by Boba Deva. Further, Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati writes, take the story of Akura. It says, Ratena Vayu Vegena in chapter number 10, 39 and 38, and Jagama Gokulam Prati in chapter number 10, 38, 24. Sent by Kansa, Akura set out on a chariot whose horses ran as fast as wind. He left at sunrise and reached Gokula, which is at a distance of 4 miles, but he reached at sunset. How absurd. The horses seem to have continued perambulating around the author of Bhagavata, or the driver, and the Akura both must have slept in his house. Another story, the body of Daman woman Putana is stated to be 6 kosas, which is 12 miles, broad and very long. Krishna killed her and she lay between Mathura and Gokula. Had it been true, Mathura, Gokula, and even the house of the Pope who wrote this would have been destroyed under it. Now another absurd story. There was one Ajamila. At Narada's suggestion, he named his son Narayana. At the time of death, he called his son Narayana, but God Narayana presented himself before him. Did not God know the inner feelings of that man? Did he not know that the man was not calling him but his son of the same name? If such is the glory of the name, then why does God not come to protect those who recite his name? If this is true, then why do not prisoners secure their release by reciting Narayana Narayana? Then again, the size of mountain Sumeru is such as believes the science of astronomy. The oceans are stated to have been formed by the grooves made by the wheels of the chariot of the king Priyavrata. Then the earth is stated to be the 49 crore yojanas. One yojana is 8 miles. So 49 crore into 8 miles is the earth size mentioned in Bhagavata. So the Bhagavata is full of such nonsensical and belief staggering stories. So this very clearly clarifies that Bhagavatam could not have been written by Vyasmuni. Bhagavatam was written by Boba Deva, is very much proved by Maharishi Dayananda Saraswati. We should leave all these false textbooks. In fact, Vedas say do not read any spiritual books written by human beings. Always read books written by Rishi Munis only. So Bhagavatam should not be read. Is actually an order of Almighty God in the Vedas. I hope you got some idea. Thank you so much. Namaste. Om.